Hello, my name is Konstantin and this is going to be the beginning of my story or the beginning of my memories, how I went from glorifying to despising Russia. If you don't know or don't understand what it is all about, then I suggest you to watch my previous video with some introduction and explanation. First of all, I need to start with some context. So, I was born about 30 years ago in Kyiv, which is the Ukrainian capital. I was born in a poor family, but we were a Russian-speaking family, so my first native language was Russian. My grandparents were speaking Ukrainian, and that's how I caught up speaking Ukrainian as my second mother language, and basically I speak both of them natively and I don't distinguish one is not better than the other one. Nevertheless, in the common life with my parents and with my siblings, I was always using Russian language. As a child, as far as I remember myself, it starts somewhere around 5 years old. I was always interested in history, in the past, and I always liked to talk to the old people which I could meet in the garden. Since I was born right after the Soviet Union fell apart, I do not have any memories about the Soviet Union itself, but I have lots of memories of people talking about the past. For example, constantly talking to the old people, I could hear words such as "Oh, we have lost such a great country," or something like, "Oh, just a few years ago this price was much lower and it was much more affordable." Sometimes I was spending hours just sitting with old people and listening to what they are talking about and trying to understand what it is all about. Most of them were always and constantly complaining about how it is bad to live in Ukraine and how much greater and how much better it was to live in the USSR. As a small naive child, I did not understand much and I was asking what's wrong with it? Why we cannot go back to the USSR? And they were just sighing and saying that in Moscow they have everything good, but Ukraine, as usual, is not getting anything good. So, from the very beginning, I was getting an impression that somewhere far away there is some sort of a Moscow which is very great, people are living great there, but in Ukraine we have everything bad. Another thing that I was constantly hearing from the old people, including my parents, is that the evil United States destroyed such a great USSR. At the same time, no one was able to clearly explain to me how the USA destroyed the USSR, and no one was able to explain to me why I'm supposed to learn English language if the United States are so evil. I remember people are constantly saying that we have lost our country because we have decided to pick jeans and chewing gums instead of work in factories and work in medicine and work in education system. I remember that we did not have toilet paper, and it was not just my family because we were poor. It was like a global problem. People simply did not have toilet paper. People did not have plastic bags, and people did not have clothing. I was always amused and I was just asking, okay, USSR was such a great country, why we did not have jeans, why we did not have chewing gums, why we did not have plastic bags, how it is possible that such a great country did not have these simple necessities. If you go to store, you want to buy something and you want to put it in a plastic bag. But no one was able to explain it to me. Everyone was just saying, yes, we have just lost such a great country because evil United States brought to us their evil jeans and flashy plastic bags. It was a very big contradiction in my head and I could not put the things together, but as a child, listening to the adults and the elders, I was forming a picture in my head that there is somewhere far away an evil USA which has destroyed such a great country USSR, and in that country it was awesome to live, but now we are in Ukraine and this is a disastrous situation. That's why I need to work hard to go to some mystical Moscow which still as great as USSR. I remember once I have found an old book about USSR army and they had some explanations about how the army is made, what ranks they have, what regiments they have, and different stuff like that. I was just scrolling around the book and then my dad came to me and started to tell me some interesting stories and showing me where and how he was serving in the USSR. And I was just interested in this military subject and I was talking to my dad and was trying to understand what's going on. And it was very contradictory information. On one side, he was saying that USSR had a great army, it was a strong army and everyone had to take into account this force. On the other hand, he was saying that serving in the USSR army was a complete disaster because soldiers did not have any respect to each other. Commanders and majors and lieutenants did not give a shit about soldiers. The soldiers were used absolutely unpurposely. For example, the soldiers could be forced to just clean streets in the cities. The soldiers could be used to build houses for mayors and officers just because they wanted to get it done and don't want to get paid for it. So soldiers, instead of training and instead of having their military life, were supposed to go and do some job for free. In USSR, it was mandatory to serve for 2 years, and each year new conscripts were joining their regiments. This means that at the same time in a regiment they had people who were serving for the second year and for the first year. And in such circumstances, people who were serving for the second year, they were considering themselves to be one level up, and they were always torturing the people who just joined. For example, they forced them to cook food, to do their laundry, to clean up after them, and sometimes just torturing them just because they wanted to. Once again, I was left with a broken picture. On one side, I'm hearing that USSR had such a great army that everyone had to reckon with, and Ukraine doesn't have any army, and that's why Ukraine lives so bad. At the same time, my dad is telling me how bad and how disastrously it was to serve in the USSR army. Again, as a child, I could not put these two things together, but of course, as a child, I listened to something great and tend to forget something bad. So I was forming a picture that USSR had such a great army, and now Moscow or Russia has such a great army, but Ukraine is something miserable. Another interesting story is the medicine in the USSR. On one side, I was listening to different stories from grannies which were sitting on the benches outside of our house where we lived, that how good it was in the USSR because they were much healthier, they were getting health support and health care, and right now in Ukraine it's complete disaster. They need to stand in long lines, they don't have this, don't have that. On the other hand, when I was going to my grandparents, they had a friend which had some sort of a heart disease, and this heart disease could not be cured by the medicine which was available in the USSR. I remember my grandparents talking about this medicine with that guy and between each other that during the USSR time it was illegal to bring something from abroad. And they had to do it undercover, and they had to make sure that somehow you get foreign currency, because foreign currency was also illegal. You cannot just go to a bank and buy like United States dollars or Deutsche marks or something like that to be able to buy this medicine. So they had to smuggle this medicine into the country to be able to treat his disease. So when the USSR fell, of course, this medicine was supplied to Ukraine, and if you have money, you can buy it. That guy was kind of rich, so he was able to afford this medicine, and he was happy that USSR is no longer blocking him from getting the medicine. As you can see, such contradiction information was also very confusing, and as a child I could not understand what the heck is going on, why everyone is saying that we have lost such a great country, everyone is having big nostalgia about it, and everyone wants to go back, but at the same time everyone is complaining about it, and everyone is telling horrific stories that just doing some business would be considered as an illegal activity and you can get imprisoned. Buying a medicine can be considered as illegal activity and you can be brought to prison. You do not have jeans, you do not have clothing, you do not have plastic bags. I was completely puzzled and left with this frustration and with these thoughts on my own. Medicine, plastic bag, jeans, I didn't really bother about that when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. What I bothered about were the fruits. In USSR, they did not have any exotic fruits, or these fruits were extremely hard to obtain. I remember that when I was getting something like a banana or a kiwi or maybe sometime a coconut, my parents and my grandparents were always talking like, oh, it's such an exotic thing, we never have this in the USSR. It was very confusing, and even though I didn't often get the luxury to get these fruits because they were extremely expensive back then, and as I have said, I was from a poor family, still, whenever I was listening to this, that it was not available in the USSR, something in my head was ticking, and I was thinking like, how USSR could be a great country if they could not even supply fruits to their own citizens? Okay, I think this will be enough for the first episode. In the next episode, I will be talking about me going to school and meeting new people. So, see you then. Bye bye.